Good evening, and welcome to the Indie Show. This evening we have an awesome guy with us who is a songwriter, producer, performer. What else? Tell me all other stuff. Just a quick one.
Educator.
Educator. How can I forget that?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Instrumentalist.
Okay.
Songwriter. Yeah, you think you got most of it. I think you nailed it.
You do a lot of stuff.
I can't remember everything.
I was
but
really
yeah.
impressed when I read so much about you. After trying to hunt you down and get you on this show for 6 months, I finally got here. And welcome, Carl.
I appreciate
This is
it.
Carl Cox. He's a dynamic, awesome saxophone player. Okay? All right. Welcome to the Indie Show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
And I tried to get you. Because when I see an artist that I want to interview, I just keep on until I can get them
I'm glad
on
you
the
did.
show. Yeah.
I'm really glad you did, because sometimes you get lost in things, or you get busy and you forget, and I'm glad you persisted, because I'm glad to be here. So.
Yeah, and you know what intrigued me a lot about you, besides your musical history, and I said because you were a teacher.
Right.
Okay, you're a teacher. And I taught for 25 years. I was an educator.
Okay.
And I did that as well as singing and running all around and all kind of stuff like that. And I love kids, so I said, I got to get him on so I can interview you in 2 or 3 different capacities.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
But let's start with the music first.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, how did all of this get started? At what age?
Everybody has their story,
at what
right?
age? Tell me your story.
A quick story would probably be, I guess in 3rd grade, you know how they give you those recorders in music class, and then you start playing the recorder. And I was lucky to have a good music program where I went to school at Deptford. And so I was really quick on the recorder. And they would play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and, Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Okay.
And I would start playing it twice as fast as it should have been. So I was that kid in the corner going, really fast, And the teacher stopped me and said, "Hey, you should learn how to play an instrument."
Okay.
So I picked up a trumpet. They gave me a trumpet, I guess, because they needed trumpets, I guess. And I was the worst one in it.
Oh.
That was horrible. So the teacher goes, "Hey, why don't you play trombone? Maybe we'll try trombone, because it's a bigger embouchure." Tried that. That lasted 2 weeks.
Okay.
So my grandfather was a saxophone player, and he used to play professionally for like a lot of groups in Philadelphia. And my dad played guitar in a church, and my mom sang.
Okay.
And they did
musical
some
family.
They did some television, local broadcasts, and so they were pushing me. So my grandfather was like, "Tell him you want to play saxophone. Tell your teacher you want to play sax." I said, "All right." So he reluctantly did, and within a month, it resonated.
That was it.
And that was it. And then the next year, I had solos in the 5th grade playing,
Wow.
all kinds of stuff, and within a year, so it kind of progressed, and I moved myself on to another private instructor, Bill Garton, who was an amazing player and teacher, so he really embraced me all through college and high school. And then I went to University of Arts and met a whole host of great
In
players.
Philadelphia, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And that's kind of it kind of blossomed in a nutshell.
Okay.
So I was lucky to have my parents to really be active and kind of be a positive influence,
That's good, because that's important.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really important. And so you start, and is this your only instrument that you play?
I play, I dabble in flute as my secondary. So I
Okay.
play flute when the gig calls. And then I play, well, I can't say I play piano, but I can play chords, and
Yeah,
I
that's
can
what I
play
do
a
too.
gig.
Yeah.
And if I try to play single note lines with 2 hands, it's a little tricky, but I can get around it,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing so much now. Your career, like we had a program on Tuesday on Philly Live Radio called Talents of Philadelphia.
Okay.
And one thing Gilbert said, "Oh, Carl is on the move." I said, "You got that right." Because every time we turn around and we look at things, and I looked at all your credits, I said, "You are really on the move."
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask you a couple questions that I
Sure.
wrote down here. Okay. Who has influenced you as a player, a saxophone player? Who has influenced you?
I guess one of the first records I ever heard was by Gerald Albright.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Gerald Albright?
Yes,
Yeah. So he's one of my first influences, and I heard this album called Live at Birdland West, and it was a traditional straight ahead kind of CD, and I heard that, and my teacher said, "You got to listen to this." And I went home, and I was like, "I want to be that."
Okay.
And that's where it started. And I put that record on every day, and I just tried to play some of his lines, and and I told Gerald Albright this because I got a chance to work with him, and
that was good.
I said, "Thank you for that album because you're the reason I'm playing a lot of this stuff. I took a lot of his ideas,
Well, it's good you said it because one of my questions I wrote down is, did you learn better by playing along with records, or did you learn better by really going to school and reading the music?
That is a really good question. I think both.
Both?
I think a little bit of both is probably the best scenario. Because my teacher had me playing classical. So he would put me through all the traditional method books and say, you need to learn the chords, the harmony, you need to learn the instrument, you need to learn how to read. And all that stuff he pushed me to do, and it was really good. Because once I started to play jazz, I understood the harmony. And then I said, oh, you played this lick over a minor chord. That really worked nice. And I knew what a minor was.
Okay.
And I knew the scales that went with it. So combining both, was really ideal for me. So I still play like that, and I'm grateful for that because, some gigs I read, it's all reading, and then some gigs it's like, no, man, we have no charts, just play.
Just play.
So you got to be able to do both, and the same thing with recordings.
Play by ear.
Play by ear, yeah, and then also doing, recording sessions where somebody says, let's play a line like this, and they sing a line. Well, it's not written down. You got to just hear it.
You just got to hear it.
Right. So I think you got to have both to really be successful with it,
Well, I think like years and years ago, the guys would just hear something and he'd pick it up.
Yep.
But as years went by, that hindered them. Okay, because when it came to reading charts,
right,
they couldn't read the charts.
Yep. Yep.
So with that in mind, many of them went back to school to learn to read.
Yep.
Alfie Pollock, he always and he's a producer, keyboardist. He always tells me that the best way is to go to school to learn, so that you're able to play both ways.
Both ways, exactly.
Both ways.
Yep.
And so, I agree with that.
I agree with that too. But although I know some amazing players that are some of the best in the world that can't read.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just because music is listening too. And you listen. So I think it's however you access it. For me, I was lucky to have the training, and then I was lucky to have experiences where I had to use my ears. So yeah, it's an interesting thing actually. But I think ultimately listening is the key.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
If you want to learn a language, you have to,
listen.
And that's exactly what it is.
Exactly. That's how I view it, yeah.
Well, you've played like the credits, and you played with so many people. And you have a full-time job?
Yeah, full-time educator. 3 cups of coffee today, so, it's,
Okay, so tell us, how do you keep that pace?
Well, coffee is one really
coffee.
good. Yeah. It's a lot, and everybody always does ask me that question. I get that question whenever I see musicians that are working full time. They just perform, and they're staying up late and they're doing the jams. And sometimes I'll do the jams, although not much now. But I do what I love, so
yeah,
I think it never feels really like work to me. So if I go to school and I have my sax out, I'm teaching music. So it doesn't really feel like a job.
Yeah.
So because it's kind of my passion, So I love what I do.
You can pick your own players from that group.
Yeah, right. And you could audition kids and and try to inspire them by playing and showing them, and if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it because they need to have somebody to show them this music and what jazz is.
You said they were high school, right?
High school.
Right.
Yeah. So and then playing is difficult, because you're traveling and coming back and teaching. So it's a challenge. It is a challenge, but like I said, I don't feel like I'm going in and I'm doing paperwork.
You're still doing your music.
Yeah, I'm still playing music, so it's all kind of like combined in one. But it is tiring.
Yeah.
It is tiring, and then juggling a family at home with a 5-year-old and my wife, and trying to spend time with them, and it's challenging. But I make sure that I always balance it. It's a fine balance, and I've been pretty good about it.
Now, when you walk into the school after performing at one of your venues, right? How do your students view you when you say to them, well, how was your weekend? And they say, well, mine was good. How was yours, Mr. Cox? And you say, oh, it's okay. I just got finished playing for
your boys.
Robinson. And they said, oh, get out of here.
I know. Yeah.
And, I mean, so they found out, or did they find out that what you were saying is true? And if they did, how do they view you now?
I really
don't. You sign autographs in school?
Yeah. Well, no.
No, he signs paperwork.
Yeah, just paperwork. I think everybody thinks it's really cool that I'm doing stuff like that and performing out with a lot of different artists, and I think I think it's really cool. I don't know if they really understand it necessarily because they don't see me perform. And that's a different thing. I think when they see it, I've had students come to shows in the past and they go, oh my God, Mr. Cox, I didn't know you could play like that. Like, I know you play in school, but
I saw you on stage.
I saw you on the stage. So then all of a sudden, their perception is changed because they actually see you in your live setting. So they see me as Mr. Cox, as I'm the teacher. But when I'm on the stage and they saw it, they're like, oh my God. Yeah, so it's kind of, that when that happens, it's different, so it's kind of cool. But if I show them a video, they seem to get a little more interested and get excited about it. So that's been really nice to have too.
Well, do you have a backlog on kids on a waiting list waiting to get into your class?
I do have kids that want to be in the class, and I can't fulfill every single position because there's only so limited positions. So you have to kind of entice them and encourage them to say, listen, if you keep it up, I'm gonna hear you next year.
So how are your stats for your class?
They're
good, aren't they?
They're good. Yeah, I mean, they've in the last maybe 7 years they've taken first place in national competition at Berkeley.
Y'all hear this?
Yeah.
Berkeley.
Yeah, Berkeley. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. High school jazz festival they do, and unfortunately they stopped having it because of financial issues. They wanted to give financial aid to students in the college, and they couldn't. But they might bring it back. But we still do. The New Jersey State jazz educators have a competition they do, so we always go to that too. Try to keep the kids motivated to step up to another level.
But that's really good because that's what they need. Because so many schools now they don't have a music program at all.
It's sad. It's sad.
Okay, she brought that point up, but check it out. You play saxophone, which is a real beautiful, lovely
Gilbert
instrument.
is talking, you guys.
I
know. I just want you to know because he's over in the back.
Okay, the saxophone, beautiful instrument. Most of the kids, young folks, in 9th grade, 10th grade,
10th, yep.
They're all about beats.
I know.
Does that?
I know.
Does that cause a problem or?
Well, yeah, because a kid will say, "Hey, I play drums," and he comes in and he just banging on the drum, I make beats, and it's like, okay, well, what do you know? Can you read this rhythm or not? No, I don't know any of that stuff. So, but if a kid's interested and he really wants to do it, then I know I got him. The interest that sparks my interest, and if I say, okay, this kid wants to learn, I'll give him a shot to learn. And if he sticks with it and really wants to dig in, that's my opportunity to grab him. Sometimes that happens, you know.
The ones that want to learn the keyboard, are they more or less involved in actual learning of music? You know?
I have a keyboarding class I started actually at the school that I teach at, and I built a piano lab of 23 keyboards, and I put in free music software to it.
I would go crazy.
So they learn Audacity. It's a free music program, and I teach them how to read from the beginning. This is C position, and we learn how to read music, you know. And I get them for a semester, so I get them for about 18 weeks, and we just start them off and see who can stick and who can't, and then if they want to do piano too and they want to come back, they can continue, you know.
They got pianos at home, or
some do. Yeah. Sometimes we'll get a keyboard. Somebody says, "I'm not using it. Do you know anybody that wants to use it?" And there I go. You know, so it's always nice.
Yeah, I know that I get kids children, I would say, from maybe the age of 5 or 6, and our main focus is reading.
Oh yeah.
Okay. We sit down and we read and we start writing the different notes, and within like maybe 6 months, they know the notes.
Yeah.
You know, and they can read the scales that they're playing, and then they go into playing, you know, and you can tell the ones that are interested, and the ones are not.
Yeah, you can.
Now, I have a little boy. His name is wait a minute. His name is Ben. Okay, and from day one, I have to talk louder. You could tell he was interested, because you could give him something to play and a homework assignment, and the next week he had it. Okay, and he still has it, and I mean, he still practice. He gets up in the morning before he goes to school and practice. Okay, and he was supposed to perform the other night on a venue we had.
Not my fault.
But
ladies and gentlemen, was not my fault.
I forgot the chord to the keyboard. Okay, so he couldn't perform, but he's really, really good, and we're going to be hearing things from him. You know, but I have a class on Friday evening. It's one girl, she's 9, and 5 boys. So it's a challenge for me. So tomorrow night, I'll bring in another teacher to work.
Oh, okay.
But you can tell the ones that are interested.
You definitely can tell that. That's my experience too. You could just tell the look on their face, and you know how they approach the instrument, and you know if they come back prepared, and you know you're like, wow, okay, this person really wants to do this. It's immediate, you know. So it's kind of cool to work. Really, when you get kids like that, you just want to throw everything at them and let them try to experience it all. You know.
But you play all types of music, all genres of
all
music,
genres,
right?
Yep.
And which one do you like the most?
Well, I think I like more jazz genre, R&B, funk, groove, fusion. I grew up listening to Michael Brecker.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest influences is Michael Brecker too. You know, as most saxophones are, because of his technical abilities and his feel, and he's from Philadelphia too. And Randy Brecker, and they did the Brecker brothers. They're from Cheltenham, and so that was a big influence for me. And I got to know Michael Brecker's sister Emily, and she's a sweetheart. And I always try to pick her brain about what did Michael do. What did he do to get like that, you know? And he just played and practiced a lot of different method books, and listened and approached. He played out of this book called the Slowinski book, and you know John Coltrane worked out of that book, and you know, so a lot of people, you know, have influenced him as well. But same kind of concept. He was more of a you know, clarinet player, and learned through traditional ways. So that's kind of how I learned a little bit too. So same path, you know.
Well, Carl has a tune out that I really enjoyed the other day, and it's called "Feeling Fine," and That's kind of funky.
Yeah.
You got to listen to that because as soon as you start playing it, we started playing and Gilbert and I look at each other.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. That's going to work, right? That's the one, right?
The
so
one.
when you get a chance, you can go on YouTube and listen to it.
Yeah. It's on there.
Is it for sale?
It is for sale under carlcoxjazz.com.
But this isn't on your new CD, is it?
No, that was another CD.
Okay.
I kind of skipped around a little bit in genres.
Mm-hmm.
I did a smooth jazz single, and I worked with a great artist out of St. Augustine, Florida. His name is Evan D. He goes by, and he helped. Actually, he wrote that song for me.
It's fantastic.
And we worked together for a couple months, and I had ideas for the shape of the song, and he had a lot of ideas for the harmony, and it worked out really nice. And I got some radio play, and we went through a national radio play for a while. And yeah, that was that. And then I decided to do something else where I wanted to just be myself and create my own style.
Solo.
Yeah, and I worked with actually Dave Hartle, who's a fantastic piano player, and one of my teachers actually from University of Arts. And we had played it at a lot of ensembles.
Okay.
So I said, Dave, I got this idea, and we had been playing in a couple groups together.
Okay.
So it just seemed to work so well. The ideas I gave him, he would come back with a whole nother idea, and it was like, Dave, what did you do? You put it through the Dave filter, you know.
Yes.
And I said, we got something here. Let's collaborate. Let's do a CD, and that was the birth of our CD called Musical Collusion, which is recently released in the last month.
Okay.
So at musicalcollusion.com.
Musical Collusion. You mean that one?
Yes.
Oh, there you
you got me.
Okay.
You got me. He's good.
Good.
He is good.
Good.
So that is ran through a filter, but that's Dave on the right,
Okay.
master keyboardist, and in the middle
I knew he was a keyboardist.
is the wonderful player from Philadelphia, is Josh Orlando. He's a Temple grad, and then fantastic bass player, looking down with his glasses, is Andy Lallis's. He's played with everybody in Atlantic City. You name it, he was the cat. He works more than any bass player I know. And then myself, of course, on saxophones.
Yes. Excellent. So now that CD they can purchase this one, right?
Yes, they can go to our website and purchase the CD. You can get a hard drive, a USB, and it has live videos.
Okay.
Or you could get a CD that you can buy from the website, and we'll personally mail it to you. Or you can get it through Bandcamp, which is an online digital access. And they can download it for $7 there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just take a moment to look at our guests here. Do you want to read this?
Oh, do your thing. Whatever you normally do.
Felicia and Rosa. Hi, Rosa and Felicia. Richardson joined. Thank you very, very much for joining us tonight. Shirley Carter. Thank you, Shirley, for always being there. Harfez Young. Thank you very, very much. Harfez sends us music almost every week.
Wow.
And we play his. He has a good tune called Eyes on You.
Okay.
And he produced that. And that's a good song.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, and it's song we play, well, I'll get back to that. Shirley Carter, good evening to both of you. Good evening, Shirley. Willie Robinson joined. Hi, Willie. Harfez said, good evening, Doris, Gill, and your guest. Impressive music. Yes. His music was impressive and is impressive. And I know that you listened. I know you listened to that music on Tuesday. It came on like maybe the fourth song. So I know you heard it because he's always there. Harfez.
That's
he
great.
always listens into the show.
That's good.
So he heard that song. Feeling fine. Matt Green. Hi, Matt. Thank you for joining in. And there go Denise Montana. Hi, Denise. Thank you very, very much.
Hey, baby.
Denise, your song was also played on Talents of Philadelphia on Tuesday, right?
Right. It was Denise and...
Centerpiece. We played
Elegant.
Centerpiece. Yep, Centerpiece,
Centerpiece,
right? Okay. Great response. Pamela Renee Smith. Hi, Pam. Glad you joined in. Matt says, hi, Doris, Gil, and Carl. Denise Montana says, great show. Egypt Marie, thanks very much for joining in. and my buddy Johnny Croom.
Oh, Johnny Croom. Johnny Croom, right
you.
in the house.
Thank you. Rosa said, "Hi, Doris, Gil, Carl, enjoying this interview." Johnny said, "Hey, Doris and Gil, Carl Cox is a great dude." Yes, he is. And Harfest said, "The kids are very young, very fortunate to have you as a music teacher. He can feel your passion."
Thank you.
Shirley said she's enjoying the interview. Hi, Sandy. That's my sister. Hi, Sandy. Barbara Berger. Hi, Barbara. How are you? Sandy says hello. Barbara says, "Great show as always." And Sandy says hello. And Egypt says, "Such a great interview. I'm enjoying the interview. I'm going to check out his website."
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Yes, check out his website.
Very cool.
Okay, now let's talk about some of your performances and the people that you've been performing with.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's see. It's been probably the busiest year of my life. Honestly, yeah.
Everybody.
I don't. Yeah, it's just been.
Oh.
I think Philadelphia, it's just have so many great players and musicians that it's hard to not work because they're all so great, and everybody knows it around the country. Anywhere I go in the country. Where are you from? I'm Philadelphia area. Oh, no wonder. No wonder.
Right?
That explains it, But I had recently got off about a week tour with Incognito, which was amazing. World-class international players, and that was really a humbling experience because we went to Chicago, Detroit, and ended up in New York City at Sony Hall, and then we wound up back at the Keswick in Philadelphia. So it was nice to be home, and everybody was really surprised to see one of us was from Philly and on the gig. So it was really cool experience. And I'm doing a lot of subbing work with Smokey Robinson now for some time. One of your favorites. Yeah.
Oh, let me go.
Yeah. And he's wonderful.
I know he is.
Give her a ticket.
I know he is. I know. He was the reason. I have to just interject this. He was the reason why I wanted to sing so bad, growing up as a teenager. Okay, because just seeing him on the stage and hearing his music, his lyrics, his lyrics and his melody, and he was a poet from the heart.
Yeah.
And he just encouraged me so much. And my mom would send my sister Deborah and I to music school for piano lessons. But we didn't want to do that. All we wanted to do is play Smokey, Darling Dear. All his music. That's all we ever wanted to play, right? Yeah. But he was really a mentor to me.
Yeah.
He'll never know it. But he was a mentor to my sister and I all of our lives until this day.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an amazing person. What you see is what you get. And you can't say that about every artist, But I think that's why he lasted as long as he did. Because he's the real deal. He remembers who you are, and he always hugs you when he sees you.
Oh, God.
And he is always pleasant to be around. He's such a wonderful person in general, So I can't say enough about him. It's amazing. It really is amazing.
See if you can get him to walk through that door.
I wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
Right out.
Yeah. He's and we're going to be actually playing December 7th in I think Buffalo. Will be and then he may be doing another show closer near Bethlehem the day before, but they're still trying to work that out. But so. Keep on the lookout if you want to see him locally.
Okay.
He's coming up soon.
All right. Well, you're fortunate. I'm telling. That's all I have to say. I know we're all out there saying, "Carl, you're fortunate."
Yeah, I am. I'm. Some doors open, and then a lot of doors open, and then they all open at once sometimes, and it's and it's been I've been in the right place at the right time sometimes, and somebody will hear you play and recommend you for a gig or. So I think there's so many great players out there that are not recognized.
Yeah, that's what we try to do. We try to get those players here so that we can help promote them.
That's great. I love it.
The things that they do.
I think it's great. It's awesome.
The things that they do.
Yeah, I think it's great that you do that. You know, it gives them all an opportunity to be noticed and see what they're doing.
And some of them, get gigs.
Yep.
When they appear on the show. And what was his name?
Bossman.
Bossman. He.
Okay, Bossman came here, had an interview with Doris. Somebody over in Las Vegas somewhere was watching the show.
Oh, okay.
But he was also producing something here in Philadelphia with James Brown review type.
Oh
thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he needed somebody to do James Brown thing, right?
Okay.
Now, Bossman, he saw Bossman does that.
Oh,
and because
nice.
he's way over there, they got in contact with each other.
Oh, wow.
And then he got the Bossman.
See that?
Yeah, so
that's how it is. I mean,
and that's good.
It's amazing.
Right?
That's
Big world is a small world.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
So we try our best to make sure that we promote the artists. You know, so now what we do is, besides coming on the show, we feature you on Top Philly Live Radio.
Okay.
So if you guys turn on Philly Live Radio on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock p.m., this coming Tuesday, you will hear the song Feeling Fine Again by Carl Cox. So you need to turn that on so you can hear it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so they can hear
She
it.
just gave me my orders.
So,
okay?
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Now, do you write the charts for the band, the horn charts at times? Am I saying that right?
For when I'm teaching, or is
when you're performing?
Sometimes, yep. Like I play with a wonderful artist named Mesa Leak. I don't know if you know.
Mesa?
You know Mesa?
M-A-Y-S-A?
Deep Waters. Deep Waters.
Oh, Deep Waters.
That's Mesa.
Oh, okay.
And that was an incognito song that they had written for Mesa. So Mesa's been on her solo album for I don't know, 11 years now. So I've been with her for a long time, and she'll have horns or synth horns, and she might want to use live horns. So I'll have to transcribe the lines for the horn players, and they'll transcribe some lines, and we'll all do it together. If I do a cover band gig or something local, I might have to put together a chart for a song, and I have the ability to do sketches and that kinds of stuff, But yeah, and some guys are really good at it, and I might ask them to do it just to save me time, because I literally don't have time to write it.
Right.
And I'll pay somebody else to do a chart or so. But yeah, it's a little bit of both, I think.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So when you're out there performing, and you probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
yeah.
And then Monday you get up and you go back and you start
get
teaching.
back in the saddle and start teaching. Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of overwhelming, isn't it? Well, you talked about that because you said because it was still music, you were okay.
Yeah, because since it's I'm still doing. It's not like I'm going and I'm counting stubs and paychecks and I'm putting things in a computer database. I'm not doing that. I'm playing and I'm active. So to me, it's not really like I'm going to work. I'm actually still performing and practicing, and even as I'm teaching, I don't want to just teach the music. I want to show them how to play the music. So I actively play a lot too.
So could this be something that we could recommend to that musicians, people who starting out in the music world, that they may need to get a job while they're climbing up the ladder. But if they got a job basically in the same profession that they're trying to move up on, music, maybe it wouldn't be a job.
Well, that's true. I was lucky that my parents forced me to do one thing when I was a kid, and they said, "Okay, we're going to help you go to University Arts, but you got to get the music education degree."
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to play. And they said, well, just make sure you do it, And then a year went by, and you know, my dad's like, I think it's time for you to like get a job. And I said, really, Dad? I just woke up. It's 11 o'clock a.m. right? And I'm like waking up, you know. So I was lazy, you know. I was like,
God.
So he's like, I'm like, you're right. So I started teaching at a Catholic school, and then I said, you know what? This is kind of cool. I like this.
Okay.
It didn't feel like work to me, and I enjoyed the concerts and what you start with, and then what you end up with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's gratifying
You can see it.
to see that transition. It's like, wow, I had an impact. And then they come to me with music. Hey, check this line out. I learned this Marcus Miller bass line.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, now he's starting to get it. Now, check this out, you know, and check out Jocko. And, you know, check out this, and check out Stanley Clark. And, you know, so then I was like, this is cool, you know. And then I stayed at Catholic school for 2 years, and then went to Deptford High School and got a gig there.
Okay.
And I've been there for 16 years, and that's my alma mater.
Wow, 16 years.
So it was nice to be back where I started, you know, full circle.
Well, I talked to Eddie Holman the other day.
Okay.
And he was telling me that you also played on his CD, One and Only Lover.
Yep.
How did that come about?
Somebody had recommended me for that, I think.
Okay.
And knew that I was playing with Gerald Veasley, fantastic bass player in Philadelphia. Probably one of the best in the world, actually, you know. So he had been playing with Gerald, drums, Richard Waller.
Richard Waller, okay.
And Richard recommended Eddie and said, hey, you need to get my guy
Carl
to play on this track. And I said, absolutely. So Eddie was amazing, you know, to work with, and very accommodating. And hey, man, I'm going to cook dinner, and you can't record until I cook you some pasta and meats, and you know. So
Eddie's
it was
a
wonderful.
Good person, and the CD is wonderful.
It's a great CD.
It's a great CD, and we play that also.
Oh, great.
We on Philly Live Radio.
Okay.
We always introduce your music that you send us to the world.
Yeah, that's great. It's wonderful.
Let me say hello to. Let me see who else. I think I stopped Benny Barksdale. He said hello.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Benny.
Hey, how you doing, Benny?
Okay. And Benny is a sax player.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's
Crab Tavern all the time.
Yeah,
okay.
Sax player. Sandy says she knows Incognito's music.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
Hi, Doris and Carl. Douglas Payne joined in. Hi, Douglas. Benny Barksdale. Hey, Carl, I hope to meet up with you one of these days.
That would be great. Yeah.
Okay, and let me see. Get it a little small. And, oh, Lord. Wait a minute.
It's always something.
Yeah.
Gotta get it right.
You all right over there?
It's getting smaller now.
Yeah, I'm getting small. I'll get it in a minute. If I don't get it,
Technology's wonderful.
I get it.
And kids. This is what old folks do with computers.
Okay, and then I know. All right, okay, so now we go back. I don't know what I'm doing here, so I gotta stop. So I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
But Carl, what performances besides Smokey do you have coming up now? Where can we see you in the Philadelphia,
that's a
New
really
Jersey
good question. So I'm doing a fundraiser for my jazz program.
Okay.
But it's going to be featuring my group, Musical Collusion. And we're going to bring CDs, and we're going to bring the kids and adults, and we're all going to perform at this restaurant called Valari's Lakeside. It's in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah, that's why I know. Remember
Yeah.
I told you my sister lived...
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
That's right around the corner from me.
Yeah.
So I've got to know the owners, and I use this as an opportunity to, you know, help the kids gain money so they can have money for trips and music, and you know, to bring in clinicians and you know, that kind of stuff. So you know, my group Musical Collusion is going to play. We're going to play our music as live entertainment, and then you know, we're going to have food, and we're going to have drinks and desserts and basket raffles and all that stuff. So that's next Thursday.
Okay, next Thursday.
6 p.m.
21st.
The 21st.
Okay.
And so that'll be a nice event, and it's in the ballroom. So that's a local event, and tomorrow I won't be local. I'll be in San Diego with Smokey, but it was,
oh boy,
it's crazy. But I'm with him subbing, doing a lot of stuff, and I was doing Atlantic City every Sunday at the Hard Rock, but now with all this touring, it's a little hard to juggle both. So I'm.
Well, how about recording? Are you doing any more recording?
Well, we just got finished our CD, recording our original project, so I did that. But I'm recording a holiday thing for a guy named Kenyon Carter, who he owns this website called Bebop Boot Camp, and it's like a bebop thing for jazz enthusiasts. He's got thousands of members, really big thing. So he decided to write solos to Christmas tunes. So I'm currently recording all the tunes that he wrote, and it's bebop based, and he wanted me to play them. So I'm recording them now for like a CD book, textbook, so to speak, on how to play.
I'm just picturing bebop today.
While you guys talk, I'm trying to get this back on.
It's still alive.
It's still,
And this guy's got he's got so many followers, and he shows you how to play over Frosty the Snowman as a swing, and it's kind of cool.
Okay, so I'm back on now. I got Douglas, hello, Phase 5 Records. Douglas Lyons is on.
Oh, Doug, yeah, I played with Doug.
Carl Cox, get sax. Benny is saying, wishing you the best, Carl.
Oh, thanks.
Stanley Briston.
Oh, yeah, Stanley, yeah.
Okay, hello, Stanley. Hello, Kenny Jenkins. And Kenny's saying, awesome, awesome.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And Douglas is saying, good to see you. And Stanley is saying, one of my favorite sax players, bar none.
Bar none.
Okay. And Sandy said, Sandy's something else. Have you played with Boney James and Rick Elliott?
I actually was on the same bill with them, yeah. I was with Mesa, and I got a chance to meet those guys.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right now.
Yep.
And Egypt Marie said, where can we purchase tickets for the fundraiser?
Oh,
yes,
wonderful.
Good.
All
okay,
right.
Tanya,
Yes.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So you can come to the door at Valari's next Thursday. Come a little earlier, and you can purchase tickets right at the door.
Oh,
can you get it online or anything?
They're not online, but I'm selling them myself. But they're a little hard to get because it's a lot of parents and their friends and stuff too. So anybody that's a music enthusiast and wants to help support the band can just show up at the door.
All right.
Yeah.
My sister may come because she's right there.
Oh, great.
She's
Yeah,
right
that'd be
there.
great.
So I'll have to tell her because
Yeah. It's a great event.
Let me throw this up here for a second. The one and only lover, the one that you're playing on for Eddie
Holman, yeah.
Eddie Holman. Right.
Yeah.
This is, let me bring it up. That's the one.
Yeah.
Right, that's the one right there.
Yes, that is it. Yep.
That's a good song.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yep.
it is.
And that was a number of years ago, and I think we recorded that too. Yeah.
But it seemed like he just put.
Yeah.
He just put it
He
out.
just
though.
put
Yeah, just putting it out.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
But
you recorded it what? 3-4 years
Oh
ago?
yeah, I think maybe
Long
more.
time.
Yeah, it was a long time, but it's finally being released to the world, and it's great because it's a great tune.
So that means there's a whole lot in the bank.
You never know.
Yeah,
Right?
because he's still writing, and it's just a process of getting all that information out.
It's a lot of stuff to
it's
do.
a lot of you have to market
Publishing
that stuff
and the mixes and getting everybody together. It's a lot of work. Yeah, it really is.
So what do you want to do next? I mean, what are some of your goals?
Well, that's a good question.
You just really think about the goals, right?
I haven't really thought about that one. Where do I want to? I mean, I guess I want
all
to.
the students together.
Yeah.
I want to continue writing,
Right.
and collaborating, and doing because the gigs and stuff are fine. I'm playing with a lot of people, and that's fine, and that's great. But be more, maybe do a solo project in a couple years, where it's just me, the whole CD, and do something fusion-esque, and it's all original stuff, and maybe have different people write for me and that kind of thing. I kind of see that in the next couple years. I've been trying to hook up with some producers that I haven't had the chance to work with because I've been so busy, but I want to hook up with them,
Okay.
and one of them being fantastic producer, Chris Big Dog Davis, who's written for so many artists, you know, including Mesa. Okay. He's Grammy nominated and works with a lot of different funk and R&B artists, and he's fantastic. So everybody's been pushing me to work with him, and we worked with him at South with Gerald.
Okay.
And he's a fantastic piano player. I mean,
tell us about South.
So South is is hosting live jazz pretty much 6 days a week.
Okay.
And they have jam sessions sometimes on I think Tuesdays or Wednesdays, and they just had Kenny Garrett there, who played with Miles, and he's one of my favorite players. And they had him for 3 days. Gerald Veasley's there every Thursday for his unscripted series, and whenever there's a saxophone needed for the artist, you know, I'm lucky to be a part of it. And it's like, yes. Gerald still calls me for the gig, you know, which is nice. And so I've worked with a lot of artists that way. So, you know, like Jeff Lorber and people like Peter White, guitarist, and a lot of different artists like that. So that's been a really strong venue. And Gerald's and Roxanne, his wife, who live close to here actually, have been really doing a great job with it. Okay. And it's been, I think, 2 years now.
It's been 2 years?
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, we did a CD called Live at South.
Oh yeah, somebody.
And that was Gerald Veasley's band, and we put that out and recorded it live.
Oh, you know who told me that? Donald Robinson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Donald was on it. Yeah. Donald does the same thing. You know, he's part of the unit. Whenever there's a keyboardist, you know, he'll play with those artists too.
And there's so many things going on in Philadelphia. So many different things, you know, that people are doing and they're working, and it's really good.
It is. Well, Philly's got the music.
Yeah, Philly's
got the musicians, you know. And I think they're some of the best musicians I've ever worked with. I mean, with Philly. I mean, really.
Yeah. Shout out to Philly musicians, okay?
Yeah. They all keep me on my toes. There's great saxophone players. I mean, I could.
Because we've been meeting. The other day, it was yesterday. I met a guy. Said he plays the sax. Called Happy. I didn't get his last name.
I wasn't with you, so.
That's what they call him? As his nickname? Happy. Yeah, I don't know him. I have to find him.
And I talked to him for about 5 minutes, but I called names. We didn't know him. But he says he's been playing the sax. He plays a lot in orchestras, but the sax aren't. It's kind of seldom that a sax is in an orchestra.
Maybe he meant a jazz orchestra.
Well, maybe so. Maybe.
You know,
because the sax is not in the regular orchestra.
It's not an orchestral instrument because it was invented, you know, in the late 1800s. So a lot of traditional classical music wasn't written for sax, but it is in there. There are some venues for that, you know, some outlets, but it's very minimal. You know, it's more jazz and you know, commercial.
Because he was saying that yesterday, and he was saying that he was working at all these different places.
Oh wow!
So
I'll have to find that out.
There's a lot of sax players, and then Benny played, and then Sam Peake. Sam Peake.
Oh wow!
So it's a lot of them.
Okay.
Be good to put them all together, right, and let them just blow.
Yeah.
Well, that would be great. That would be.
There's no lack of talent, let me tell you. It keeps me on my toes, that's for sure.
Well, for anyone that's want to follow in your footsteps, what kind of advice would you give them? Well, now they don't want to starve. They need to do.
We don't want to starve.
We don't want to starve them.
Yeah. Well, somebody wants to professionally perform saxophone as an artist and play
and record the whole bit.
Well, I think one of the key things is obviously being able to perform at a high level. Okay. And dedicating time and learning, you know, listening to records and learning the sound and tone that you want, which is a big part of the business. You know, I've been lucky to get maybe some gigs because of the type of sound that I have when I play, because that's what they wanted. You know, maybe it wasn't necessarily how fast I could play, but I could do that if I needed to. But it was the tone they wanted, or the feel they wanted, or
That warmth.
the warmth, or but then there's other gigs that say, you know, it calls for more technical ability and more of Michael Brecker style or Sonny Rollins style, and I can do that. But I think the more you can play at different genres, the more you'll work and the more opportunities you will have.
Mm.
So I was fortunate to be able to kind of be of a chameleon in that respect, to be able to say, hey, blow a solo in a funk on a James Brown tune. And then you got to play Summer Wind and play solo and swing.
Okay.
And then you got to go and play an R&B solo, and you got to be able to back up a singer.
Mm.
And how do you back up a singer? You can't play like Charlie Parker behind a singer.
Charlie Parker.
You know, you can't do that. So I think having the ability to listen to a lot of styles, and when the opportunity comes, you're able to play that style at a high level, and those people will then hear you and give you an olive branch to another avenue. And I think that is the best advice I could give to somebody who wants to perform is don't only perform one genre. Try to expand your horizons and listen to many genres, including classical.
Yeah.
Well, if you could play classical, just like if you can play real jazz.
Yeah,
Play anything.
exactly. And Wynton Marsalis, of course, is an advocate for both classical and jazz. You know, for every good jazz musician, you know, there was also some classical background sometimes for that. Not every case, of course, but
I like throwing this out here too, that if you really think about it, the so-called classical music was pop music back then.
It was. If you wanted to have a party, you hired musicians.
Right?
You didn't have a recording.
Yo, where's Mozart?
You had, hey, we need a requiem for this. You know, and I'm having a party. Bring a string quartet, you know, and flute, and you know, and you could make a living as a musician then because you needed live musicians.
Yeah.
You know, and in this day of age, you can obviously hire a DJ.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it affected the business, I think.
Of course it
but,
did.
But
of course
technology affected all of them.
Yeah, and the ability to go out and really play and develop your craft in a session or jam session. But, you know, I think the records are, for me, a good tool to have to emulate. You know, so I think listening and to get back to your question, being a chameleon and learning all those styles and then trying to play them in a jam session, you know, go out and find where people are playing and maybe not play the first time, maybe listen.
Listen, yeah. And hang around.
And hang around and get to know them.
Yeah.
And then after a couple of weeks, they say, hey, you sing. Why don't you come up and sing? Oh, okay. And then you sing. And then one of my first big opportunities to get on some records and tour with like people like Kirk Franklin or
you did
the Roots.
You did a song with him too.
Yeah.
Fight.
It was called The Fight of My Life. The
Fight
record.
of My Life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was really cool. I give props to my man Jeff Bradshaw, who's a fantastic trombone player, and my friend Matt Cappy, who's a great trumpet player. Who they both were just featured at the Kimmel for the Kool in the Gang thing, and I was invited to play in Zanzibar Blue, and it was a jam session, and Jeff was there, you know, and Matt said, "Man, just come in and play," and I was a young kid. I was 23, and Jill Scott had just been coming out.
Okay.
So I said, I'm going to come in and I'm going to play. And then Jeff heard me play and said, hey, man, you want to be in my band? I said, sure. Yeah. And then he got me on some of those gigs and helped me get my feet wet in that touring experience and recordings that we played on. And, you know, we did stuff with the Roots for a couple years. And then that led to some things. And then they went to do their thing. And I went. And years later, now I'm doing my thing, and we all kind of started together, but still friends and
still connected,
and you know, even though we do different gigs now, it's still
all roads lead back to Philly.
Yeah, it's all Philly,
That's
and
great.
you know, yeah.
That's
So it's been very cool. But that's my advice to somebody who wants to really kind of get involved with that style. But doing it full time is a challenge.
Yeah.
And there are people that can do it, and I know a lot of people that are doing it, but it's not easy. You have to be able to teach a little bit, or do a regular day gig. And you know, there's another guy who plays trombone really well. He's a great player, Don Collins, and he plays with UGO, and Henry McMillian, a trumpet player, and he's a doctor.
Okay.
He's doing surgery one day and playing the trombone the next. So, however, your lifestyle affords you to play.
Music will cross all lifestyles.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Because I can name some bikers out here.
Yeah. Well, me too. Me too. Same exact thing, you know.
Okay. Now, do you have anything else you want to say to your fans, to the world, before we...
I went by fast. You're right.
Yeah, I told you. It goes really fast.
It was really fast.
Collusion one more time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then you go ahead and tell us what's coming up next.
Well, you can see Musical Collusion live next Thursday, if you wish, and then we'll support the students of Deptford High School.
Yes.
And all the donations go to them. And I guess if you're in the area, maybe Bethlehem, December 6th, I'll be with Smokey Robinson. I had to do it for you, you know. And
Sandy.
And then next year there may be a possibility I'll be with the Incognito again when they come into the States.
Okay.
So maybe the Berks Jazz Festival. Maybe look out in South for Gerald Veasley's Unscripted. You never know.
Okay.
I could have an opportunity to play there. And Mesa Leak is going to be having shows in December for her Christmas show at the Birchmere. So we'll be doing that. And then she's going to have shows next year as well. So, yeah.
You're going to be busy.
Yeah, it's been busy. I'm a little busy at the moment, but I'm blessed to be able to play. And
it's best being busy.
It is, yeah. It's been nice, yeah.
Well, I want to say that I'm really grateful that you came on the show.
Absolutely.
Because you had a lot of good information to pass on to the world. You know, you've done a lot. You know, a lot of people. You studied. You did a lot, and they need to hear good things from professional people. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So to encourage them to move forward.
Yep.
And next week is November 21st, and we're going to we're going to feature on the Indie Show long time friend of mine, Timmy Ingram. He's one of those awesome Ingram brothers.
Oh yeah, I know them.
From Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right near my house. Yeah, 15 minutes from my house. Yeah.
He's coming in, and he's a drummer, percussionist. He plays congos. He's a vocalist. He's done so many things. Him and his brothers, and they will be he will be on next Thursday, the 21st at 8 o'clock on Facebook Live. So we're hoping that you're going to join us to follow Timmy through his musical journey. We want to thank you for your participation. We want to thank you for your support that you give Philly Live Radio and the Indie Show. I want to say thank you to the world for that. And tune in on Thursdays at 8 o'clock for my show and Tuesday for Philly Live Radio. Now, if you want to listen to good music, and I'm going to say this, if you want to listen to good music, you have Philly Live Radio. It's 24/7, and it's new DJs. And I'm not going to mention all the times that they come on. I've been asking Gilbert to put it on his website, and he won't. But it needs to go on his website, Gilbert, so that they can know what time all the DJs come on. So maybe you can send them an email and tell them, put it on his doggone website. Okay. And I want to say thank you again. No, I'm sorry. I want to say thank you again. And I'm Doris Hall James, and thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Listen to the artists of today. Travel with them along their way through the Doris Hall James Indie Show. The Doris Hall James Indie Show. Oh.
That was so fun.
That was